Global Transformation Astrology, GTA, with William Stickevers.
We're still feeling the post-eclipse effect. We certainly see that with the current state of news. Things continue to escalate and intensify in Gaza, with Israeli forces now essentially overrunning southern Gaza, and I believe they now have tanks in northern Gaza as well. So we're going to take a look at that in a moment. I'm looking at the chart of Israel, and we note here, looking at the eclipse, and you could see how this eclipse really took things to the hilt. Around the time, let me just bring up 2023, around the time of the eclipse, especially by the lunar eclipse, we see the total, the second phase of the war, where Israeli forces do a land invasion of Gaza, a complete land invasion. So let's bring it here with the lunar eclipse right here, and we can see that eclipse. Well, the eclipse is at 6 degrees of Taurus in opposition to the sun, of course, right on the Israeli ascendant-descendant axis, and it's squaring that moon, right? That, well, actually, it would be a moon-Pluto-Saturn triple conjunction axis up on the midheaven. So this is why certainly the fear of implications of a wider regional war in the Middle East is certainly on the front board of the discussion as we, finish out this year. Right now, it seems to be contained as I predicted, but we certainly won't see the full repercussions of the eclipse. Note that leading up to the eclipse, especially the solar eclipse, which happened 2 weeks before, was when Israel, right? When Israel, the attacks occurred several days before the eclipse, and by the time we enter the eclipse, the solar eclipse, the war was full on, right? And Israel began striking back. Then we see the escalation of the war, where Hezbollah in Lebanon, also supported by Iran, it begins to engage Israel by doing rocket strikes directly from Lebanon. So we see that play out here, and we could see here the eclipse. In this case, we don't see a direct hit, but the fact that the eclipse occurred in the 12th house, it was a sneak attack, right? So even Israeli intelligence is, even the prowess of the Israeli intelligence failed when the Hamas forces were able to do a Pearl Harbor style sneak attack at 5 different vectors, both in Gaza, southern Israel, and in northern Israel as well. So you can see how a 12th house eclipse, where your secret enemy or your enemy can do an effective sneak attack, bypassing all intelligence operations and detection. Okay, so that was just to give you a real brief on what's happening there. Also, I mean, just the fact that we see Uranus right on the sun, and Jupiter conjuncting Uranus in May, would also be indicative of what's happening now internally with the body politic of Israel, as many Israelis believe that Netanyahu was behind egging on Hamas intelligence, or giving enough information. In other words, basically setting up Hamas like a honeypot intelligence operation, almost inviting them in, giving them, doing a sort of a counter espionage type of operation to lure Hamas into attacking, because of the very fragile coalition that exists in Netanyahu's power base in Israel. So there's no doubt that we're going to see big changes with the government, and there's a wider, the threat of a wider escalation of a war in 2024. There's an earlier eclipse that will be making a direct hit to the Israeli chart. Just at the same time, Jupiter Uranus will be right on the Israeli sun. So what we're seeing here is just the first phase of a potentially larger war that involves Iran, and Lebanon and Syria and a whole host of other countries. So right now it's contained. I don't see that spilling out, but then the elements and themes change, and this has much to do with what happens internally with the Israeli government.
If you want to gain clarity on world events, free from mainstream bias and full of detailed insight from a master astrologer, join the Global Transformation Astrology GTA membership. Go to williamstickevers.com or click the link in the description. Join hundreds of other truth seekers gaining a deeper insight and understanding of global events so you can navigate this complex world with clarity and confidence. Become a GTA member today.